Can you think of one or two pointers that you feel have helped people the most over the years?
Um, Preparation is good when you have time for it. Sometimes it seems as sellers, you kind of just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to sell, and they list and off we go. And we have a lot of those and it works just fine. When you have an opportunity to plan ahead, then it gives us the opportunity to talk about things that might be like, for example, there could be things that a seller might not think that a buyer would be concerned about at all. But then you start to get through the process and you realize that, oh, wait a second, here's something with the buyer might have a problem. Well, why would they have a problem with that? And you get into this discussion that had we had that discussion 2 years ago, could have put something in place to
Mhm.
mitigate that. Something as simple, Brennan, as a email and a phone number. I mean, there are a lot of people that they're a sole practitioner. They kind of just get used to using their personal phone and their email. And so I've had many cases where they go to sell and the subject comes up, and sometimes it comes up late. You don't realize this, and they're talking to a buyer, and they say, "Well, of course, I want to keep my email that I have, which maybe is the business URL and phone number." And the buyer's saying, "Well, but that's part of the goodwill I'm buying here, is I want to be able to have the clients contact me." And you have this discussion here where a seller, honestly, they just didn't think of it. They knew they wanted it, but they're making an assumption about it. And
Mhm.
so there are a host of those kinds of things that if you can talk about those beforehand, and that will really help.
I think it kind of falls into two categories, right? In my mind, as we're thinking through this, it's, getting ready for what's next in life, I think is
Hmm.
important because you need to
Hmm.
be motivated to sell or you're not going to sell.
For
I
sure,
think
yeah.
so. I think that's one part of it is like planning what's next.
Yeah.
And the clearer you can be about that, I think it serves you better.
Hmm.
To be excited about what's next, not leaving something because you're not happy with the practice.
Hmm.
I think if you're not happy with your practice, and I do find that a lot of practitioners fall into that category as they're approaching retirement, is they're kind of getting tired, they're getting
Yeah.
worn down a little bit. And so there's a negative feeling towards the practice.
Hmm.
Um, and for those people, like sometimes preparing can actually extend how long you want to stay in the business, right?
Hmm.
If you can take those pain points away from the practice, then you actually might enjoy the practice and might want to stick around longer, which is fine with us, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's those two categories.